At the southern edge of the Claw Mountains lies an area called the Crystal Sea. But unlike the beautiful oceans and lakes of Thra, this sea was made of sand. The Crystal Desert was a vast area running directly through the middle of the land like a wide, dry river, and beside the natural beauty of the rare creatures and sparkling crystal towers, it was also home to the most unique Gelfling clan ever to exist, the Dousan. To the Great All, may the dead become one with Thra again. May we feel their tears in the rain and warmth in the suns. Though they are gone, they remain with us still. This was one of many Dousan prayers passed down through the ages, and if it sounds dark and melodramatic, that is because this is who the Dousan were. Unlike most other clans save for the Drenchen, they were secretive, reclusive, and often nomadic and peaceful wanderers of the Crystal Desert, and most important, closely affiliated with the circle of life and death. Their obsession with the cycle of life, and in particular death, comes from the fact that the Dousan maintained a deeper understanding of geometry and magic, some of which was completely unknown to the other Gelfling. Because of this, they decided long ago to keep to themselves, spending life in a collective solitude, fearing and realizing that the world would never understand them. Even among their own people, speech usually only consisted of gestures and whispers, and due to their bizarre attributes, were the only Gelfling clan not allowed to serve at the Crystal Castle. Aside from their many different beliefs, the Dousan were also the most easily recognizable, with dark green iridescent skin and markings on their bodies that is said to actually change colors. It may be through genetics or even due to the strange food they eat, making it unclear what their true color really is, but their skin and bodies were undoubtedly one of the most important parts of their being, as it not only represented a living organic vessel provided by Thra to exist, but also provided a place for their intricate tattoos and magic markings, which actually told their entire life story through symbols. The skin painting and marking was passed down through the generations and countless Madras, including the Dousan's current Madra during the Age of Resistance, Madra Sethi, who was known as the Skin Painter. Although Sethi had lived an incredible life of her own, bearing various markings and tattoos from her journeys and dealings in the desert, she was actually a surprisingly passive Madra, who not only bowed to the will of Celadon upon the death of all Madra Meren, but also refused to believe her own clan's tree, Oza Staba, was still alive beneath their wellspring, causing a period of immense distress among her people. The Dousan were also the only Gelfling clan to have a division of leaders known as Xerics. Xerics were more commonly known as Sandmasters, and were the leaders of 12 separate nomadic groups across the Crystal Desert. The most notable Sandmasters were Rakir, the Xeric of the South, and Erimon from Tides of the Dark Crystal, the older brother of Paris. To travel across the dangerous plains of the Crystal Desert was no easy task, but after ages of adapting, the Dousan found many useful ways of keeping themselves mobile, housed, and safe. The one we're most familiar with were creatures called the Crystal Skimmers, which were gigantic ray-like creatures that could float and glide above the sands. However, the Dousan also utilized massive handmade sand ships constructed from crystal and bone, which is where most made their settlements, and they navigated the sands like ocean vessels. Their sigil animal was a creature called the Dei Doim, which is a creature that we haven't seen yet in the show. They were tamed by the Dousan to carry supplies between fertile lands, and were identified by their dorsal scales, which were filled with blood vessels to expel the intense heat of the desert. They lived mostly on the outskirts, using their large tusks to scrape leaves and bark and catch various kinds of food in the river. However, even though the Dousan were a mostly nomadic culture, a main gathering spot for the clan was a well-known wellspring which was a rich green area located at the northern edge of the desert. Alongside the Great Tree of Life, Dousan members would gather there for protection from storms or to cleanse themselves in the cool waters, and Dousan shamans would hold ancient rituals involving music and intense prayer, solidifying their deep connection to Thra. Dousan shamans were among the most important and special members of all the Gelfling clans, as they held a far more meaningful connection to Thra. Aside from their musical rituals, the shamans also consumed a red berry called urdrups, which were a hallucinogenic fruit native to the Crystal Desert. These psychedelic properties were prized by the shamans, who believed this strengthened their connection with the planet, allowing them to communicate with her, and in turn made them far wiser and more knowledgeable about the energies of the planet, a very important factor for understanding their world. Very interestingly, in the future of Thra, the Dousan would not only maintain their status as a unique clan, but also become one of the most vital clans in the history of the Gelfling. In the comic series Power of the Dark Crystal, which takes place after the events of the Dark Crystal, a Dousan Gelfling named Chal, who is a fugitive along with his mate Selûne, take refuge in a place called Mithra, a volcanic realm located underneath Thra, and after many generations, Chal and Selûne's descendants created a brand new race of beings called Firelings, who would become very important in the fate of the crystal. But that, my friend, is a story reserved for another world and another time. Well, my friends, that's going to do it for my biography on my personal favorite Gelfling clan, the Dousan. Now it's time for you guys to leave all of your thoughts and opinions down below in the Great White Void. As always, until next we meet, take care, and I'll see you guys back here for the next video very soon.